Ben Richmond, welcome back to the show.
Hey team, great to be here.
Yeah, so what's new at Xero?
Oh, lots on. It's been a pretty crazy 6 to 12 months since I think we last saw each other in St. Louis. So we just got back off a big road show. So we visited partners across the east, west coast, and central parts of the country. So we launched lots of product as part of that, which I'd love to get into. We had our big Xerocon down in Sydney, but the big news as part of that was we are bringing Xerocon back to the USA next year in Nashville, of all places. So we're going to go to the home of country music. Lots of Australian, New Zealand, and partners from around the world also looking to come across. We're sort of switching Xerocon up a little bit. So instead of doing every country every year, we're going to start to sort of move it around. And what was really exciting was just to see how many partners actually want to start jumping around the world. So it was the first time we're sort of testing this new format. So I'm sort of been pumped. Our teams are out in the street, busy catching back with, the pandemic seems to be predominantly behind us now. So we're back out in front of our partners, seeing all our good accounting and bookkeeping partners in the flesh, which has been awesome, in their offices, and lots of. I think the big thing for me is lots of great product coming out for the US. So lots of US specific product that we've been building for a long time. I mean, your sales tax has been almost like doing open heart surgery on the product. So lots to go through.
So regarding the conference in Nashville, if I'm hearing you correctly, it sounds like you're going to have a rotating flagship show, and because of this, you're expecting accountants, bookkeepers, vendor partners from UK, from Australia, New Zealand, all to come to the States? Is this kind of the...
Yeah, so some will, some won't. So we'll have next year. We'll have both London and the US. So instead of doing every country and every spot, we'll sort of move it around. And so what I know, I spoke to lots of Australian and New Zealand partners that are going up to the London event. Nashville's obviously a massive draw card as well, but we're already starting to see that. And you guys have seen as well, sort of the globalization of politics in the world might have gone the other way, but there's sort of been this globalization in the technology space. So we already saw lots of partners starting to actually travel to different Xerocons. And so by sort of moving them into a rotating schedule like that, we can start to bring sort of more of the global community together. And having spent so much time in New Zealand and Australia myself, and then I've spent 7 years up here in the USA, there's a lot that's different about all the different countries. Each country's got its different strengths and weaknesses, particularly when you think about, moving to the cloud, which I can't believe we're still talking about, but that's still happening in lots of places. And building on these new services, the explosion of AI and that. And so I think but there's a lot of stuff that's the same, right? We might have different vernacular or semantics. So I'm kind of excited to start seeing partners come together and share like that. And I think there's already networks that exist, but this is really doing it on a really big scale.
So Xerocon Nashville is going to be in 2024 in August. The dates are August 14th and 15th, 2024 in Nashville, which is right after my birthday, Ben. So this is like a little birthday present. Thank you very much.
No problem. We'll have to mark that down the calendar so we celebrate at Xerocon together.
Yeah, the day before. I'm the 13th. So
perfect.
Fantastic. Well, let's talk about new product. What has come out recently? What should accountants and bookkeepers be aware of that's new in the product? And can you give us any sneak peek at what is coming?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll talk about what's out and what people can get in and have a play with now. Because as accountants and bookkeepers, we actually love to be able to play with things, not see slide decks. And what we've got planned. So we've talked a lot in the US about making sure that Xero's platform has a lot of innovation in it globally. But for the US market, there were specific complexities in the market that we just had to get right. So sales tax was a massive piece of that. And so we were at the roadshow. We've basically launched that. We're calling it a limited preview release, but under the advanced settings, you can now get in there and turn it on. And what that's allowing you to do is to basically, within our current business edition SKUs, you can both calculate sales tax, do your reporting on sales tax. That is all powered by our partnership by Valera, but we've been building that all into the core parts of what customers call Blue Xero, so that you can calculate, report on sales tax. And then if you want to use the e-filing capability, it then takes you across into Avalara. But from a customer's perspective, it's just as though it's in Blue Xero, and it all sits in the current SKU. So that's out there now. You can go turn that on. We've had that in beta with customers for quite a while. So there's been plenty of our partners that have been in there testing and playing with it. As you can imagine, putting 14,000 lines of sales tax code into Xero was a bit like open heart surgery. So it's been really, really excited to see the product teams bring this to life. So sales tax was the big one. If you think about what that means for an AB or an accountant or bookkeeper, if I want to use Xero in my practice, whether I'm using it for my CAS practice, and I've got goods-based clients and I've got service-based clients as well, being able to run one platform across both is an efficiency play. And so we've always been really strong in the service-based sector, but this really opens up goods-based businesses for us, which are the predominant ones that have to, obviously calculate, solve sales tax. What excites me also about, you hear me say excited a lot, is sales tax in the US is really complex. And I've been involved with the product teams and a lot of the customer focus group testing. And sort of what I can sort of gather is about 90% of US small businesses probably do their sales tax wrong. And so I think what we're really passionate about is how do we make it easier and how do we bring that accountant bookkeeper front and center so that they can, and one of my favorite quotes from one of the customer testing with our partner was, I've generally steered away from helping small business clients with sales tax. With the way you guys are building the functionality, this, maybe look at actually helping small businesses do this and help them with their filing, which is another service. So that excites us as well. And we've really thought about how we bring the ABs front and center. So that's out now. If you're a Xero customer or partner, you can jump into the advanced settings and turn that on. And again, the teams that are building that, there's more and more launches coming as we keep building out that functionality. Then moving on to 1099, right? So 1099 is still critical. So, every year we put new updates. There's obviously regulatory changes that go through in that space as well. But we did a lot of just updates we launched at the Roadshow, particularly around how you can get information from contractors that you're often left chasing at the end of the year. So we've made a really nice space where someone can send out a link. It doesn't matter whether or not they're a Xero user. They can upload those documents, and the software's going to track who you've got the important documents for or not, just to make that whole 1099 process easier at the end of the year. So updates in the 1099 space there. Big one as well. You would probably
and is that both sides? Because I know that the big problem I have is I send invoices to people, then I always forget to send them our W-9. Like, are you handling stuff on both sides?
We are on the side. It'll chase them for the W-9. So actually, it runs a whole register for you of who you got on W-9 from and who you haven't.
Okay.
And then it makes it easier for you to go after them. But I'm not sure on the other side. Basically, what they get is a link via an email. They'll click on that link. It'll take them into what looks like a Xero environment where they can upload their information, and then it's going to trigger you as the Xero user on the other side to say, hey, that W-9's been uploaded. Here's the ones you're still chasing.
Got it.
And then on the other side, you probably would have recalled a few years ago we acquired a business out of California called Recode. The team at Recode had built awesome inventory for the US market. And so they've been busy beavering away. Basically what we've done is completely recoded in the Xero environment what we're calling XIP, Xero Inventory Plus. And this is the first iteration of us really getting into the game for inventory, particularly businesses that are in the retail or retail hybrid and e-commerce space with all the connections to the sales channels that they're using. We unveiled this week. Again, we've got a beta available at the moment. People are jumping into it. It's pretty close to release. I'm hoping to get the first big release out coming in the next couple of months. So we unveiled that at Xerocon. Our Xero Roadshows. We had partner working sessions with partners where they could get in and play with it. And partners are able to sign up now and get in and have a play with it as well. So we're getting constant feedback as we bring that to launch. Another exciting moment for me on this space, one is one of the reasons we really liked the Locate team was they took a really accounting first mindset to how they developed inventory and its connection with accounting. So obviously you see great inventory players out there that just haven't thought about how that all turns into accounting data. And so as we thought about how we build that clean into Xero, XIP has all those, has that accounting first mentality in it, so everything's going to be working well. We've been working really hard to make sure the key channel partners signed up. It will be the different online places that people sell goods and services in the e-commerce space. So really excited to have that plus sales tax is really us coming in saying, hey, we're here and we're serious in the goods-based space in the USA.
Ben, I have a question.
So when is that going to be? Sorry, David. So Ben, when is that going to be out of beta, available for anyone to use?
Yeah, it's the current plan, and obviously is always the caveat in software, things change. So it's in beta now. We've sort of had rolling betas where it's gone deeper and deeper and more partners have come in. We opened it up wider at the the road shows recently. Plan right now is to hopefully go to a launch in November, with then launches rolling right throughout the remainder of the calendar into early next calendar year as well. So all going well, we'll be opening up much more aggressively in the November timeframe.
And what sort of businesses will be able to use this new inventory system? Like, what is it best for? And, who would it not be appropriate for? If I'm looking at my client base, who would I want to put on it right away?
Yeah, great question. So, look, we have a great range of ecosystem partners in the inventory space, right? That deal with very complex inventory scenarios. So if you've got warehousing, raw materials, and all that sort of stuff, this is not where it's aimed for at the moment, right? This is what I would say is it's been really aimed for is the sort of simple retail businesses that have a hybrid between selling online through e-commerce or in bricks and mortar. It's amazing from our research how many of those small businesses are still using Excel for a lot of that as well. So if you're at that sort of, I would encourage our partners that are out there, those clients that are simple to medium complexity, that are selling through e-commerce or a mixture of both in the retail space, they're going to be the best first clients to test for it, to throw on and have a play with it as we roll it out. And again, we'll be bringing more and more features to the market. So what we launch isn't, we're done and we're moving on. We'll be continually iterating it from customer feedback and looking at different parts of the market to go after as well. And as you probably know, Blake, it'll have the right valuation method too for US inventory, which is something we've been working very hard on.
Oh yes, the accountants will be very excited.
And Ben, is this inventory is a separate app still? Like the code's going to still be separate, or are you fully integrating this into its Xero inventory and it's just Xero code?
Yeah, so it's Recode. So it's still the way we're going to sell XIP, and there's future horizons coming of it, right? So XIP is still going to be an additional thing you turn on. So if you're using one of our business edition SKUs, you can turn on the XIP inventory add-on. But it's not the thing we acquired. The team have fully recoded it in a clean Xero code environment. So it looks like Xero. So, it's not something we bought and then gone, hey, it's all integrated over here and looks completely different to Xero. It's been, coded and the design is all Xero feel. And if you need that added inventory functionality, you can turn that on from within the buy flow once we go live.
So, David, Ben, let's pivot to AI because that's the hot topic right now. And every time I go into Xero and I code transactions, I think, oh man, when is Xero going to have generative AI telling me which account I should be using and automatically filling in the vendor name? I mean, it feels like it could do this because I can copy paste that stuff into ChatGPT or into Claude, and it can tell me if I give it the chart of accounts where I should put it. And it's pretty darn accurate. Like, when are we going to start seeing that kind of automation in Xero? And like, what are you doing with AI right now?
Yeah, absolutely. It's great question. And you probably remember Rod standing on stage, I think, obviously 5-6 years ago, talking about the vision for, he was very proud of how we built the platform and, hey, I want to get to a point where you wake up in the morning and basically Xero says, hey, here's all the transactions I've coded overnight. Here's the ones I couldn't code that we need some help with. And it's done that through looking at, we've coded things that in the past. We also can see where the advisor, so if you've got your advisor in there and you're a messy small business, so your accountant's often having to tidy up that coding, we can also see where the accountant's tidying things up. And also at an aggregate level, we can start to see where businesses code those like-for-like expenses too. So the structure's all there. We're already starting to do it in Xero space for, it's been there for a while for suggestions. So when you see Xero suggesting, that's actually using those suggestions, that's where they're coming from. The next vision is how do you move that so it's just doing it, right? So you basically, our vision is still the same. How do you move to a world where it's almost code-free accounting or coding by exception? So we're using the technology for suggestions. And as we think about the next phase, that's how we want to go better. I'm really impatient. I'm like, why can't we have that now? We're using it across our, so we have a lot of AI.
Well, so the issue is right now is I don't know how it's happening behind the scenes, but I know that if I code a transaction, a particular statement line to a particular vendor and a chart of account, then in the future, most often, as long as that statement line looks pretty similar from the bank, I will get the suggestion for that vendor for that account. But it doesn't do it proactively. It does it based on the history. Whereas we know that generative AI could look at that vendor name, the statement line,
Do the work.
and figure out what is the best account without me having to do anything, right? So like that, I mean, why not integrate right now with OpenAI or with any of these tools that have these APIs? I mean, it seems like it could be done. I mean, I know people are building these tools that like can do that for us, like pull from the Xero GL and then code the transactions automatically. Like this is doable now with Zapier, with Make.
Yeah.
Why can't Xero do it like today?
Yeah, that's a great question and a great challenge. So it's important for us. The teams are working on it. There's some things for us to work through. So I know it was a great session at Xerocon that one of our EVPs of engineering, James Bergen, worked through, which is we're really focused in two areas around AI. How do we save our clients time, which is really what this example falls into, right? How can we take away the need for our small businesses to actually code? So the software is actually doing that work for them so they can get quicker to the insight. So that's the first bucket of how we're thinking about where we put leverage AI into the system. The second bucket is how do we then use it to get more smart around looking at the data and starting to do predictive insights. So we've already built some of that into our cash flow. We have the 30, 60, 90-day cash flow analytics insights tool that starts showing you where we think your business is going to be and some of the levers we think you should pull. So the other two big buckets we're really focused on. One, save meaningful time for the customer through using AI, and secondly, start to give them insights and analytics that they can make proper business decisions around. We're being measured with it as well. Like obviously, for us, it's kind of scary. The data that's in Xero goes into the IRS. It gets used for tax calculations and all those things, and we need to be very careful how we as we look at things like generative AI and using, say, the GPT platform, there's implications to connecting those things, and so the teams are busy working through. The good news for us though is we're born in the cloud, so while we're being measured, I use the word we're excited and we're being measured. The good news for us is we're born in the cloud. So our platform, we've got one global code base that's been only in the cloud. Yes, we're doing a lot of work around how we re-architect and modernize our platforms. There's a lot of what people probably haven't seen for the last few years is just an enormous amount of work going on underneath the hood in Xero. Like Xero is, it's not the new kid on the block anymore. And Xero was, it's coming up 17 years old now.
Mm-hmm.
The original code base built out of an apartment in Wellington, and now well over 3.5 million, 3.8 million customers globally operating the system. So over the last few years, we've had a lot of work going through various parts of the platform, modernizing and fully re-architecting it so that as we think about what does the next 10 million customers look like in our next phase of scale. So a lot of work's gone in there, which helps us unlock going faster with AI. So we're using it in parts of the platform now. We want to see it used faster, and there's some very obvious use cases, as you point out, where we can go faster and actually save our clients more time, because I don't even think accountants. I mean, I did my accounting degree, and reconciling a bank account was the least exciting thing. I think none of us went to do accounting degrees based to do bank recs, right? So how can we get that sort of...
And my concern is that the AI is flashy and sexy, and that's why it's getting applied to doing short-term cash flow projections and dashboards and fun stuff like that moves product. But honestly, it could be used to do some really boring work, like you said, like simply coding transactions and reconciling bank accounts automatically. And my fear is that the main GLs aren't doing that, even though it's a real easy, low-hanging fruit opportunity, because it's not going to sell you more Xero subscriptions, right?
Yeah,
but it would be hugely beneficial to accountants to have 90% of a bank rec done automatically for us.
Yeah, I think, and we've heard loud and clear actually, because it's similar. We've recently published this AI guide after a big survey across 3,000 accounting and bookkeeping professionals across the world, including here in the US. It's pretty loud and clear from and this is the feedback I give to our product teams as well. Core accounting is the basics where all the magic starts or doesn't happen. So let's really get back to making sure that we're innovating at the core. We're still, even in our recent product release, a lot of work going into how we get bank data into Xero, because we still know it's the ultimate unlocker. And then how do we process that data much faster? So I think you're spot on. It's the number one thing we hear from our customers is, particularly as we've asked them around where would you like us to see us go in the AI space, there is that sentiment of like, we're sort of getting a bit tired of all the glitzy, glammy, quick AI features that get sort of put out there. There's really core fundamental workflows that impact every client we work with, that if you could take 5-10 minutes out of that part of the workflow times, say I've got 1,000 clients, that's a really meaningful in a world where we have a huge labor shortage in the profession, and then being able to get to the more important stuff we can do with those clients. So we've heard that loud and clear, and it's absolutely where, I think our AI guide and what we're talking about, how we want to use AI, is use it on stuff that isn't glitzy and glammy, use it stuff that's going to have meaningful impact on saving customers time.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the AI guide, but I don't think we actually mentioned the title of it or where to get it. What is that guide?
Yeah, so we launched that recently. So I can give you the link, or we'll make sure we can send you a copy. So it's called Future Focus. It's Xero's AI guide for accountants and bookkeepers. We've pulled that together based on data and insights from surveying over 3,000 ABs around the world, plus our own internal experts in this space in Xero and other people externally in the profession that are working around it. So we just wanted it to be a resource, and what I'll make sure we do is we flick you the link to where you can get a copy.
And we'll put it in the show notes for anyone who's listening to the podcast or watching on YouTube. Go down to the description, go down to the show notes, and you'll be able to download this report. Some interesting stats in here. A third of small businesses are intrigued by AI, while others are feeling anxious. Half of small businesses believe AI will be more helpful and have a positive impact on their people, processes, and workflows, compared to 20% who said they believe it'll be more harmful. So it's nice to see some positive coverage of AI. It's not all doom and gloom.
Yeah, I think as people get in play, my advice to partners has been like, we all watch The Terminator, so we all go through that scary scenario in our head, and we have old Elon Musk running around reminding us what AI could do. The best thing, and I said, it's almost like when cloud came around, right? Like, get in, have a play, embrace it, learn about it, learn how to harness it. Don't, if you keep it at arm's length, then you're going to miss the boat. And because I do think that there is meaningful ways to use it in your practice. So I'll give you an example from my own mother, right? And so I was explaining to her ChatGPT. I said, look, you're not going to put private data into it yet because we're still sort of figuring those things out. But my mother is still working. She is a very passionate person who often writes very lengthy, wordy emails. And I happen to be friends with one of her customers who's like, your mother's so cool, but she sends these ridiculously long emails. So I showed Mum ChatGPT and said, hey, write your beautiful email, copy it into ChatGPT and say, can you make this a bit more succinct and direct, please? And so, Mum went from being like terrified of it to just having a simple use case there, which is now saving her lots of time, but also helping with her customer interactions. And she's, all about it. Yes, she's also watched The Terminator and is, worried it might come and kill her one day. But I think as she starts to play with it, people see the use case where it's relevant. And so it's like any new technology, get in, learn it, and be a part of how you drive it. And it's the same thing we take with our partners here. Blake, you've been on XPAC. A lot of our great ideas for how we could be thinking about the stuff is actually coming from our partners. And there are partners out there that are jumping in, playing with it. There's partners in there that love getting all the latest and greatest tools that ecosystem partners are using. And so hearing from them is actually super powerful as well.
Yeah, it feels like the table's set for you in a way from applying AI in that boring way, right? It's not the sexiest feature, but you have bank feeds, obviously, giving you half a transaction. And you have HubDoc, which it scans and gives you 60, 70, 80% of a transaction. You have the zero expenses. So employees are, possibly adding parts of transactions, and where that AI comes in, it's like, because that's what a lot of accountants and everybody has to do, bookkeepers have to do. You have to be like, all right, they scan this, it's missing this data. Oh, but that's in the bank feed. Okay, that's a match, or that makes sense. And that's where AI could really pull these tools together. These tools you guys already have in-house that are really separated.
Yeah, the other one, so we're thinking we're actually just launching some tests with it now. So firstly, bank statement extraction. So we still are seeing big growth of people that either the bank they're with doesn't give any accounting software vendor a good feed of data, or they might need to go back multiple months. Might be a conversion client or something like that, and they can't get that from the bank feed. Or it might be a client that's not tech savvy, but it's still a very profitable client, and so they bring in the paper bank statement. So one of the last product launches we went through is bank statement extraction, which is leveraging some of the from the acquisition of HubDoc, where you can put a paper bank statement through a feeder, still happens, and then the system can go to work using the extraction to actually pull that data out. Now we're using AI in this part of the system, right? Because right now we're being very careful to say, hey, these are the banks that we're happy with the quality, that you can use it for bank statement extraction. In reality, you can actually upload any bank. The system will tell you if things like are the opening and balances matching, obviously things to make sure that the data feed you're going to push in is correct. But we're using the AI there a lot to actually rapidly expand the amount of banks we can cover with that technology. And there's no human interaction. So as you know, a lot of the softwares out there that do that part of the workflow have big chunks of people sitting in random places around the world that are actually making that seamless automated experience come to life. So we're actually using AI there to help with as well. The second piece is how our customers interact with us, right? So we haven't, the platform at Xero now is quite expansive across how a small business uses it, how an accountant and bookkeeper uses it. And so there's just so much information across all our help centers, Xero Central. And again, it's sort of like finding the right answer is often hard. So we're starting to look at how we use sort of generative AI to have a conversation with Xero or go through things, think about how we make it easy to set up and onboard Xero, but particularly how you access data and how to use Xero. So you're not having to worry about, talking to someone here. The system's actually you're having a human conversation with the system, and it's surfacing up the relevant things to help you get going again.
So, here's something for your product people if they're listening. Find and Recode. Why can't we chat with an AI chat assistant to find and recode transactions instead of having to go through those drop downs to filter and find the transactions? Just, I want to be able to say in plain English, find all the payments that I made to David Leary and reclassify those as consultant fees or, whatever, like for this particular time period. It feels like an AI, a Gen AI with access to the right levers and buttons could easily create that search for me.
Totally. Well, I'll take that as my first action. So you probably saw our new Chief Product Officer, Dia Jolly. She's ex Okta and based in the Valley. So a lot of leadership in Xero now is landing here in the US, which is super exciting for us globally. So I'll take the action to pass it on because I do think, I always use the example. I used to use this example a lot around Find and Recode, which is I don't want to have to go through and click the filters. I want to just say, hey, I know there's a husband and wife combo that run the coding. I'm the partner. I know the wife's super diligent, but I know the husband just codes everything to suspense or just throws everything in general. So can I just go, hey Xero, go find me all the transactions Ben's entered go and he dumps them all in general suspense. Can you go bring them up and suggest to me where we could put them? Which is a much nicer and easier experience than having to go through and cradle the filters. So I'll make sure I pass that on. But I think you've hit the nail on the head. There are so many opportunities around just the core workflows of accounting and bookkeeping in core Xero. The functionalities like Find and Recode changed the game when we launched that. I remember actually Rod was launching a little bit of AI on stage in Melbourne. This would probably be 7-8 years ago, where you could start to type the description of an invoice and the system would code the item on the invoice somewhere and start to suggest that based on some AI. It was very, very early. And I remember the accountants in the crowd were all sort of like, this starry-eyed, there's a bit of woos. And then he got up and then launched Find and Recode, the ability to, quickly find someone who's done a mess with coding and recode it, and there was a standing ovation. So it's kind of, it's come full circle now where it's like, well, how do you take Find and Recode and apply that AI that we were showing years ago? Because those are the workflows that can really drive a meaningful impact.
I would love for that to happen, but in the meantime, consider. I've got you captive here, Ben. So I'm just going to give you all my unsolicited feedback.
I've got notes.
Well, ChatGPT now has plugins, and Avalara made a plugin so you can query tax rates for any address in the United States now. Make a Xero plugin for ChatGPT so that I can authorize my ChatGPT Plus instance to access my Xero GL data, and then I can go and query it. That could be incredibly powerful without you even having to build anything. So just wanted to throw that idea out there.
No, that's good.
Another reason to do that is now you can have all the accountants and bookkeepers basically tell you what they're actually going to use it for before you go and build something. That's actually
because a lot of times we say we'll use it for this thing, and then you build it, and then we don't, right? So it's like if you actually give them the tool, then see what they're using it for. Maybe that's one way to decide what to do because there's so many things. Anyway, that's the end of my unsolicited Xero product advice.
Super appreciate it. So you've given me some questions for the rest of the day to go and chase those up. But it's exciting, right? I think in my travels around the US, I still meet so many firms that are still so early on their journey to getting to the cloud.
I know.
This whole AI revolution is hitting us so fast, and that first step of getting your practice online so that you can get connected to your client better, and you can start to unlock the massive AI opportunity that's here today and coming even faster down the pipe at us. So it still baffles me how many people are still, whether like Excel is still out there going strong for accounting.
I mean, I just saw an article about a webinar about how to move to cloud. Like that is still a topic for webinars these days. And let's hope that I think the AI stuff is going to finally pull all the laggards, because can't do the AI without the cloud. And AI is going to do another 10x efficiency gain.
I think it's more than this. Like if you look at, was that stat I saw recently that for every 2 accounting jobs open, or for every 2 accounting jobs, there's only 1 candidate. So we've got a massive labor shortage going on. So we need, and then the amount of firms that I meet in my travels and my teams that are looking to go beyond tax, looking to have more of a regular interaction with the client, looking to even just build on basic advisory, whether it be helping their clients with forecasting and cash flow, they cannot get there because of capacity challenges. So there's a need now to have to do it. And I think the cool thing now is also, I had a great laugh and chuckle and excited moment when I saw you guys rebrand this the Accounting Podcast, because I am still baffled that we are still talking about cloud, but cloud practices are becoming more of the norm now. The services that they can provide on top of just end-of-year transactional tax are becoming more and more expected. And so I think there's more pressure on the mass market now to start moving. And it's up to us as vendors. And we've had this chat in previous catch-ups, which is, let's not scare people. Let's keep, and I think you guys do a really good job of this, and the vendors also need to play their role in this, which is, we want to sound as innovative as possible, but let's make sure we're taking the people on the journey, showing them the opportunities, hearing them, meeting them where they're at, and getting them started, right? So if they are at desktop, well, let's get you to the cloud first before we get too excited about, and we use ChatGPT to help you write a better email, and just sort of find out where's the partner at and how do we get them on the journey. And you got to show them the possibilities. But I think everyone's doing a better job of that now, because that is, how do we make them? Because the profession is actually needed now more than ever, and I think it has a really powerful role to play. But we're stuck. I mean, one of the funniest things I heard recently was, could you imagine, if you think about your GP, your doctor that you go to for health, imagine if they were unavailable for 3 months of the year because they were just too busy to see you.
Well, Ben, that's the typical experience of most Americans with our healthcare system.
You've been living in the States, right, Ben? I want to make sure you're experiencing this.
I did actually have to wait, probably too much information for a doctor's appointment recently, but like accountants and bookkeepers do disappear for a long time. And so how do we get this regular interaction going? So I think it's exciting. I think there's enough people doing it now. There's enough people that are right at the edge of the curve and changing the game, which is exciting. Because I always say it's right. Like, I'm from the profession. I still consider myself an accountant. I do my CPD and keep it up. And it's fun being on the side of the fence. I think we got we have to rebrand the profession. I'm a bit worried, and Deandra and I were talking about this recently. We've got all these councils and committees being set up everywhere to talk about how do we rebrand the profession, how do we get more people coming into it. Well, I think we need to put those people on those councils and ask them, because we're still. I think when you look at some of the firms now, the type of services they're doing, the type of businesses they are, the opportunity, excitement. Even if you're an entry-level employee in them, it's totally different to what you expect. But I don't think the graduate community understand that. So there's a massive rebranding challenge, and we've got to meet them where they are as well. And so I think, we need to start including them more in our conversation. So for me, it's super exciting sitting on this side of the fence, because I'm, helping change the profession is a passion of mine. But I'm super proud of what it is. There's a massive chunk of firms that are changing the game for their business clients, and that's who I'm proud of. And we just need to make that chunk bigger.
And I think Xero deserves credit for helping to create a new image of accounting. When I started out in accounting as a career changer, Xero came to the US and had this, the idea of beautiful accounting software was like mind-blowing, revolutionary, and that you could have a beautiful accounting practice and a beautiful job. And a lot of that messaging really resonated with me and inspired me to create my own business, my own accounting practice. And we got to figure out, I think, how do we spread that message to the accounting students and graduates that it doesn't have to be this corporate grind, that you can go somewhere else other than the Big Four. You can go somewhere else other than a giant Fortune 500 company. If you want, you can go work with small businesses right out of school. You can make a difference. And those are the people who are having the most fun in accounting. All the firm owners that I know that are really excited to go to work every day are the ones who are serving small businesses. And that's who Xero is building software for. And these kids just don't know about it because their professors don't tell them. It's not an option,
Yeah,
So,
and I think right up to the ICPL, like who we promote as the poster childs of the profession. It's often like you don't need a suit and tie anymore. I think we finally realized that. Like I watched this research years ago, which was when I was back in New Zealand, and most small businesses were scared of going to their accountant because the accountant would talk jargon. The accountant wore a fancy suit. The accountant was in this fancy office, and it made them feel, the husband and wife couple, let's say they're running a plumbing business, they felt scared to go there. They felt I felt dumb. I didn't want to ask a silly question. There was jargon being used, and you both know the same probably people across the profession now that have changed they meet the clients where they are. They dress well, but realize that the client goes, hey, my experience and my power as your advisor is not this tie that I've got tied around my neck in a 110-degree Phoenix day. It's actually, I'm wearing a nice clean-cut T-shirt. I have a passion for the industry that you serve, and I know your business, and I also know your personal goals, and I'm getting involved more in that. So I think we are seeing people do that, and small businesses don't see the big fancy building or the clean-cut suit or the amazing jargon we talk as the things that make us a professional. It's the empathy, it's the advice.
Mhm.
It's the knowing the numbers. Yes, we're still going to know the numbers. Still going to know the tax code. They're the foundation stuff. But there is so much more. It's it's always why I've been stuck in my role here and excited about it is we've always been the trusted advisor. But I think at a mass market level, we have failed to capitalize on that trust. And it doesn't take much. And there's enough partners out there doing it now that are showing you what, and they're having fun. I mean, you probably the same people, Blake. They're out. I look at I've got a lot of them on Facebook as well, and they look like they're having a great time out there. So how do we promote them to the college grads? Because what they think it is. I think the other thing too, diversity and inclusion is a big piece as well. When you look at firm ownership, it is still predominantly male, and it's still predominantly white. And when you look at the people coming out of college, it's starting to flip completely on its head around ethnicity and gender. So you got a real disconnect happening there. So we need to work. There's a lot more work to do. I think the profession's, I wouldn't say is one of the leaders when it comes to this space. But again, you've got to look and feel like and connect to your customers that you're serving and the community that they're in. And so that is super, super important. So it's kind of weird because I think there's so much going well. There's so much to be excited about in the profession and the opportunity that sits in front of it. But then there's also quite frustrating moments where there is so much to do and there's so many things still holding it back.
Well, it's creating a lot of opportunity. And if you want to go out and create that small firm now and you're willing to embrace cloud and AI, I mean, the sky's the limit. I'd say it's even I was an early mover when it came to doing the whole remote virtual cloud firm. And some people would say, oh, that opportunity doesn't exist anymore. But I think with AI now, it's even greater.
Yeah.
You can go off on your own, and you can make good money, and you can have a great lifestyle, and you can do it with these awesome tools, including Xero. So Ben, thank you so much for joining us. David, did you have anything you wanted to add before we go?
No, I just I must say it was smart to sponsor the women's FIFA World Cup. We were sitting in the living room watching the USA women's team play, and just the Xero logos were all over the field. My kids were like, "It's Xero! It's Xero!" They recognized the logo everywhere. I don't know anybody else who recognized it outside of people in our space, but it was a lot of exposure. I'll tell you that.
Oh, that's awesome. Congrats.
Yeah, no, it was fantastic. And it was awesome for us globally. I've seen all the markets that we operate. I was really gutted to see Team USA. I was down at the final and gutted that the powerhouse team of Team USA didn't make it through. But I was super excited to see the New York Times coverage and the New York Times headlines of the Xero billboards in the back. But for us, it's just, women's soccer is just it's so much alignment to what we're doing. So we're doing a lot of stuff with, most of those sports sponsorships, and it's sad it's still this way, but you'll sponsor the men's league and it's sort of like the women's league as an add-on. And so with Xero is really passionate, like, no, we want to actually be one of the principal sponsors of women's soccer. And do that in a really genuine way. So we're doing work across all our countries on how we help with like literacy in soccer clubs, because soccer clubs need the books done and financial literacy there. How do you support people into the sport as well? So sponsorships are great, but it's how you activate them. I'm really, really passionate about how we activate it properly. And one last thing I'd love to share is for any business owners out there, we launched the Xero Beautiful Business Fund. So if you just Google Xero Beautiful Business Fund, for our Xero partners out there that have clients on Xero, they can go in the draw. There's over 770,000 New Zealand dollars. There's a big chunk split up for each country, so there's a big chunk for US small businesses as well. And they can enter in sort of 4 key categories around innovating for sustainability, trailblazing with technology, strengthening the community connection, or upskilling their business for the future. They can go online, pitch their business, enter that, and there's a whole lot of small business grants that they can win to help them out in those spaces. So there's a whole big chunk ring fence for our US customers. So if you're a Xero partner out there and you've got US small businesses, go along and check out the Xero Beautiful Business Fund.
So I can help my clients apply for this. That'd be a good value add service.
Absolutely, yeah. So if you've got clients on Xero, or not even clients that are on Xero, if they want to have a look at it, they can go on, put their submission in, and enter the draw. So it's this exciting new initiative that we launched globally just a couple of months ago.
Ben Richmond of Xero, Country Manager, United States, Chartered Accountant. Great to chat with you. Hope to see you again soon.
Likewise. Thanks for having me. We'll probably see you at the next conference.
See you in Nashville.
See you in Nashville.